That would help. Come out of the live I am on. Ah, hello, hello, hello. Hope you can hear me. Let's see. Hi, Bella. Hi, Talaya. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are okay. Sorry, my phone is like buzzing with other things. Fantastic. Oh, thank you. Let me know you can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. It's finally here, the day where we talk about men, trauma, and healing. Hope you guys are excited because I'm a little bit excited, but I'm also a little bit terrified about what we're about to talk about today. So I guess before I kind of get started with our guest, or guests today, I want to do a bit of a background. And while I'm doing the background, feel free to share this live with everybody else that you know. But this sort of came from an instruction I believe I received. And when I was thinking about what to talk about today, it'd been on my heart for a while to talk about this particular title, hence why we're here today. And so I'm going to sort of set out a bit of a background as to men, trauma, and therapy, and healing. And I'm going to then invite our guests along and then we can take it from there. So, trauma is not something that is subjective to gender or anything in particular. Trauma exists exists against everyone or to everybody, and everybody's affected either one way or the other. And a definition I'm working with today is trauma is an emotional response to a deeply distressing or disturbing experience or event that has lasting adverse effects on someone. So that could be mental, physical, social, emotional, and spiritual, the spiritual well-being. So that's really what we're gonna focus on today in terms of the trauma element. And we're gonna start a journey of talking about trauma itself, moving into identifying and acknowledging what it is, processing it, and then healing from it. Now, even though we're talking mostly about how this affects men, we're also obviously considering the effect it can have on women, and also how women can also be more knowledgeable and supportive in that sense. So I hope that is a bit of a background. Let's see if our guests are here and available to join. Oh, hi, Chris. Sorry, I'm like a newbie when it comes to like Instagram half the time. See, if you guys have any questions at any point in time, please just put it in the comments and we will hopefully pick it up. I'm going to try and do better this time around and actually like um, look at the comments today. Let's see who's here. I think I've invited you, Chris, if you can jump on. There we go. I think I've accepted that, but it feels really slow today. It's a bit strange. Third time's the charm. Are you seeing that accepted, because it's not it's not letting me do anything else. I mean, we will talk about this today. We will absolutely talk about this today. There's been so many things happening today that makes me think this conversation is going to be very impactful, because the devil's dragged me today. Yeah, I can see they've requested it, but it won't let me. Hold on, let me see if I can just do it a different way. Okay, cancel this one. Okay. It's not letting me.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, I think I can hear you.
I can hear you as well. Can you hear me?
Oh, actually, I know what the problem is. Yes, a second. It's interesting because my sound is actually not coming through on my earphones.
Okay. Do you want to try speaking again? Oh,
You can hear me now?
yes.
That's good. Perfect. Perfect.
I can
Perfect.
hear you, but I can't see you. Oops.
In the chat, can people see? I know obviously you can see you. Can they see me?
Let's see.
If someone can just put into the comments whether they can see my video.
Can anyone see Chris on here? So they can hear us both. But the question is, can you see us both? This is strange.
Okay, someone just put that they can see us both. So that's good.
Oh, okay. So we can't see. Can you
Yeah,
see me?
I can see you. I can see you clearly.
So I can't see you. Okay. It's going to be interesting. Let's see. How do I fix that? Any ideas? Strange. Anyway, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good.
Great. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, excited about the conversation. And I'm guessing Tosin and the other person is going to also
Pastor
join.
Emmanuel.
Pastor Emmanuel.
Yep, I'm expecting them any minute. I'd like them before we actually get started, but I wonder. Oh, okay. Let me check. Just gotta. Okay. Okay, so we can't see any. I can't see any of them on there. I can't see you. This is boding for an interesting time. Let's just see. A minute or two. Oh, okay. Let's see if that does it. Oh, hi, Tosin. Oh, there you are.
You can see Tosin,
Hi.
but you can't see me.
No,
That's
it is
strange.
so
Tosin, you
strange.
can see me, right? You can see my video, right?
Tosin, can you hear
Hey
us?
guys. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you and I can see you both as well.
Oh, so it's just me.
Oh, you can't see Chris?
No,
Oh, I can see Chris.
literally.
Very
I
strange.
know, but I can't. Let's see.
Yeah.
Ah, fantastic. Tosin Emmanuel is here. Just added. Yeah. Okay.
Hello, hello, hello. I can see a person on there as well.
Afternoon, everyone. Hope we're good. I'm in a cafe
Hello.
and there's music playing, so I'm gonna be on mute until I need to speak. But yeah, I'm here. Hopefully, it's not too loud. But yeah,
Oh, that's okay.
yeah,
That's
Okay,
fine.
I can hear you.
Um,
I can hear you okay.
awesome.
Yeah, we can't hear any background noise, so it should be
Oh,
good.
wow.
We can't hear it, so.
Awesome.
the strangest thing, I can't see anybody else but Tosin.
Really?
Yeah, it is absolutely strange, but no, that's fine. Thank you all for joining us today to have this conversation. Um, I'll probably let you guys introduce yourselves. So tell us who you are, what you do, your favorite pastime, and one thing you've had to heal from.
Oh,
Yeah, who would like to start? Who should we start with?
Maybe first.
that's not fair. Okay, so my name is Tosin. What do I do? I do a lot of things. For my day job, I work in the legal sector as a risk and compliance analyst. I'm also an entrepreneur, so I own two businesses, an events planning company and an image consultancy. But I'm also in ministry. I'm a pastor and a leader at my church. Um, what was the other question? Oh,
Favorite
pastime.
pastime? And
Favorite pastime. Um, I don't know. What do I do? What do I do for
that's
fun?
okay.
Um, I mean, I love a good like spa treatment type thing. So like getting my nails done. I'm a proper girl's girl, so getting my nails done, getting my hair done. Yeah, like the whole shebang. But I also really like Nollywood movies. Like I think that's my favorite thing to watch. I watch Nollywood movies a lot. Like I'm not sure if there's any that I haven't seen. And that's including like English and Yoruba. Yoruba movies are even the best. Like honestly. Yeah, so I watch a lot of Nollywood. I think it's what I used to like kind of just chill.
Detox.
Yeah, it's a detox. Yeah, it's just funny. Sometimes the movies are so bad. Like this, it's so funny how bad it is. Like, it's so funny how bad the movies are. But yeah, I watch a lot of Nollywood. And then one thing I've had to heal from, um, I guess I'll go with the most obvious. Something I've had to heal from is obviously the trauma that comes with getting divorced. But yeah, yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Tosin. Over to Chris.
Yeah, so my name is Chris. What do I do? I work as a property coach. I also have a short-term rental business in Nottingham and in London as well. And pastime, I enjoy going to the sauna and cold plunges. I actually went earlier, so that's where I find peace.
In cold plunges.
In cold
Yeah,
plunges.
it's the feeling you get
Wow.
after.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
No.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah. And what did I have to heal from? I think it's very simple. I was engaged about 9 years ago, and obviously that
Mm.
relationship didn't end up working, but that wasn't necessarily the trauma. I think it opened a can of worms that
Mm.
unlocked a lot of things that I needed to deal with.
Mm.
So yeah, I guess that's a summary. I'm sure gonna dig deeper into all of those things, but
Mm.
that's
Awesome. So my name's Emmanuel, or also known as Game Changer. I do many things as well, but I guess the, the bits that I probably will share. In terms of 9 to 5, I am a digital IT consultant, um, and I also planted a church called City Worship London, which I co-founded with my wife and my brother. Um, and yeah, I do a lot of things. So I'll park it there. Favorite pastime, I would say last year, did the London Marathon, finished it.
Oh,
Very big accomplishment for me. I don't come from a background of doing long distance running. Um, so yeah, the fact that I even did it was a testimony in and of itself. Made some big life changes over the last few years, and so yeah, that was a big one for me. So yeah, in terms of healing um, or, or traumatic experience, I would say probably over the last few years, it's been more key friendship
Hi.
breakups. Yeah, that's been a big one over the last couple of years. So that's a big one.
wow. Thank you. Thank you. If I look like I'm looking to the left or right, it's because I've had to put Instagram on a different phone so I can see everybody. Um, so ignore me if it looks like I'm just looking. I'm still here. I'm still paying attention. So thank you all for uh, accepting to come on and have this conversation. We've got an hour and 23 minutes, give or take, to sort of do some justice to this. Now, I know we're not going to exhaust everything, which is okay, because the aim is not necessarily to exhaust everything. I think we could probably never exhaust everything, no matter the amount of time we have.
Yeah.
So that's fine, as long as we ensure that we leave the people in a place where they can run with what they hear today. I'm
Mm.
happy. Um, so we're here to talk about men trauma and healing. Um, Now, everyone suffers trauma, but I think everybody else talks about every other kind of trauma apart from the ones that necessarily men face or the
Mm.
ones that they um, encounter. Is the host going to introduce herself?
Oh,
Oh, hi.
I was just about to say that, that it's funny how
Sorry,
the host didn't answer the question.
sorry. Um, I'm Dorinda. What do I do? I'm an executive assistant in the NHS. Am a I'm in ministry as well to an extent.
To an extent.
Um, yeah. Also, I co-own a events management company with Tussin. Um, what else did I ask everybody else to say?
Pastime.
Favorite pastime? What I think I'd say traveling, because I think right now I am suffering from the effects of not having traveled yet this year. So I'd say traveling. Um, what have I had to heal from? So I think I'd probably say similar to what Pastor Emmanuel said, friendships. I think that's probably been one of like the major things that I've had to literally like heal from almost time and time again, really. So that's probably what I'd say. Thank you for reminding me to introduce myself. Um, but yeah, I guess going straight into what we're here to talk about today, um, there is something about how society pressures men to not acknowledge healing from their traumas
Mm.
and to sort of just carry on with it. Um, Sometimes they're quite subtle. So they're quite
Mm.
subtle in terms of the way they come across. So they're inferred most of the time.
Mm.
You know, this speech about men don't cry, this speech
Mm.
about you're a man, get it together.
Mm.
All of that kind of infers just carrying on, which is not right or normal. actually.
Mm,
Generally, we know that men internalize a lot. Now, we're gonna talk about things in the generic form because obviously it doesn't apply to everyone, but for the majority, this might be what is real to them.
mm,
So men internalize generally a lot, and it seems as though they are not that great at expressing their emotions in
mm,
comparison to women.
mm,
And so I want us to start off from the place of acknowledging that men do go through trauma, albeit
mm,
somewhat quietly sometimes, and really starting off with how you know that a man has unresolved trauma. Like,
mm.
how do we sort of know that there's trauma here, basically? Now I'm putting it out there. I'm not sure who wants to take that on first.
This
Uh,
is not a. I was gonna say this is not a ladies first question.
yeah, I give it to you on that one. I would probably open up by saying, um, I don't necessarily feel like there's a straightforward answer to give on how to know if a man has been traumatized through an experience.
Mm,
I think what generally happens is, for example, let's say it's a fatherhood trauma, for example, then it may happen that someone who oozes or exemplifies a fatherly character around you and is trying to um, is in a sense express a fatherly nature towards you.
mm,
Your natural response or your first response to that could give an idea as to where you are emotionally, and it could be that even though
mm,
this person is a positive um, reflection of what a father should be. In this example, your response to that is tense. It could be off. It could be, let me step back,
mm.
because what you experienced on a personal level with your father was the opposite to that. And so, someone trying to be a father or exemplifying father-like characteristics is a reason for you to step back, because I don't want that. It could be in
Mm,
relationships. You could have experienced I know some men who have experienced like bad relationship breakups, and so it's like when maybe they're talking to a lady and it's like maybe they're starting to see signs, or
mm.
they're like, I want to go to the next phase, but I'm not sure because at this phase in my previous relationship, things went pear shaped. So then
Right,
maybe you start to withdraw, maybe you start to do the opposite of what you would want to do. And it's not
right.
because that's what you actually want to do,
Yeah,
but because
yeah.
of the trauma of a previous, situation. So it's not easy to kind of describe. I don't think it's like I'm not saying that you said it that way, but it's very hard to kind of give a straightforward answer. I
Mm,
think the challenge that comes with this is the self-awareness. There's a self-awareness
mm.
gap, and I think either a lot of men don't practice self-awareness
Right.
or they don't
Yeah, yeah.
tap into that practice of self-awareness.
Mm,
So where there are trauma responses, you may think that's normal, but it's actually a
mm,
trauma response. But that
mm.
has become your norm. And one of the main reasons as to why that is because men have been socialized to just carry on.
Yeah,
You just have to press on.
yeah.
So you might be feeling something, but that feeling, because you press on, that feeling then becomes a norm.
Mm,
And that's that's where my heart, grieves for many men, because it's the pressing on that then
mm,
normalizes a lot of dysfunction.
mm.
Um, for a lot of men, or for some men, should I say, for some men, it wasn't their intention to withdraw or to
Yeah.
kind of whatever, but because
Mm,
they've had to just do what they have to do.
mm.
I really hate that statement, because not because it's intrinsically bad, but because society and many cultures have pushed men into that corner of doing what you have to do. You have to be, you have to be dutiful. you know, follow your duties, this, that, and the third. And the issue is not duty. The issue
Yeah.
is when you make duty the priority over making sure that you're a whole man, a man that is healing, should I say? Because I don't think, yes, we recognize life doesn't stop. Bills have to be paid. If you're in a relationship, or for someone like me, you know, who's married and has kids, that life doesn't stop. But then at the same time, I have to recognize that for me to be the man my wife needs, I also have to do that healing work as well. And the world is not really as much of a safe space for men. And so I can't wait for, you know, the world to be nice to me. I have to carry the burden of recognizing, yes, life doesn't stop, but I also have to do the work. So where I need to, you know, where I need healing, where I need support, where I need encouragement, where I need counseling, I have to do that, as well as the life piece as well. So being a man isn't easy, and it's not necessarily me trying to give a sob story, but generally it isn't, because to be a man is, yeah, I think that's a different discussion, but yeah, I'll leave it there. Those are my opening thoughts.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Yeah. Carry on, Chris.
Now, saying that was good, I resonate with everything that you've just said. So I'd say for a man to identify that they have gone through trauma themselves, I'll start off with that, and then I'll say how women can identify whether a guy has gone through trauma. So if you're a guy, I would say question your fears. What is it that you fear the most? What is the area in your life where you struggle to trust God in the most? That can be an insight, a window into an area where there's trauma. So that's just to the guys. If you investigate and interrogate the area, whether it's money, finances, whether it's romantic relationships, whether it's leadership, anything that you struggle to truly surrender to God and to trust Him, it can really open up some things that you start to realize perhaps there's some trauma that has gone on. And then for women to identify a guy that's gone through trauma, let's just take care of the low-hanging fruit, the obvious things. It's not an exhaustive, comprehensive list, but even stuff like addiction, alcoholism, someone that is a womanizer. I mean, those are just external, very easy to identify things that perhaps there's been some trauma here. But then the not so obvious things that women can identify, one of them is emotional numbness.
Yeah.
Now, just have to say this. As a guy, I do believe in being stoic, not the philosophy of stoicism, because that's demonic, but the definition, someone that is able to control and regulate their emotions, to be resilient. I think the world that we're living in now, we need men to be stronger. We need stronger men, but there is a emotional numbness that has been ascribed to masculinity, which is ungodly, because if people cannot get into, or you to open up, chances are God cannot get you to open up. So I think that you should be able to distinguish being able to be emotionally resilient, strong, there for your wife, your children, the people that you serve, but also separate an emotional numbness that actually might be revealing and give you some insights that perhaps there's been some trauma here. There is a self-preservation that is an effect of perhaps trauma that took place in this person's life. Another thing, obviously they throw these terms around in psychology, attachment styles. Secure attachment, insecure attachment, all these attachment styles. I think some of these, they actually can, just to explain the attachment styles. Secure attachment, someone that is okay to, to be vulnerable. There's a healthy, they know how to engage in relationships in a healthy way. Insecure attachment, someone who needs constant reassurance. They have perhaps a fear of being rejected. And then what's the other attachment style from the top of my head? there's insecure attachment, there is the anxious attachment. Now, the anxious attachment is a person that they need the constant reassurance. And then what's the other attachment style where the person is avoidant? Yeah, someone that's avoidant, where you push people away. As soon as you want to get close to someone, or someone gets close to you, find a way of pushing them away because you want to protect yourself. So secure attachment, that's healthy. Anxious attachment, you need constant reassurance. You're afraid to lose people. Avoidant attachment, you want to push people away if they get too close. So some of these things, they can give an insight into whether a person has gone through some form of trauma.
Hmm.
So good. So I just want to sit here and listen. Like, it's just
I'm just like,
so enlightening. Yeah,
oh,
so good.
I think it's great that you sort of started off by saying it's not essentially one shoe fits all, because I think that's the bit that we don't really consider. Not every man looks a certain type of way because of trauma. Not every man reacts a certain type of way because of trauma. Because I think when we have that understanding, it just means that we can tackle things appropriately, right? So the fact that a man may just be in himself stoic doesn't mean he's got any traumatic issues to deal with. He might just be stoic as who he is, nothing else. So yeah, yeah, I'm not going to say anything else about that. I
You
guess
know, I was just gonna say something.
carry
Yeah,
on.
no, I was just gonna say how it's just so crazy how even as women, I think that's the way society has made us. Because I remember growing up, right? Honestly, my definition of a man was someone who didn't talk too much, someone who didn't express their emotions too much. Like when a man is like talking about his emotions too much, I'm like, yo, yeah, you're sounding like one of my girlfriends, okay? And it's just so crazy how that was like when I was younger. But when I
Mhm.
started to like mature, and honestly, if I'm being really honest, it wasn't too long ago that I actually started to appreciate what emotional intelligence and men being able to communicate their feelings and vulnerability. Now it's very attractive. Like it's it's something like if a man is not speaking or communicating or has his words, I'm like, do you still need maybe you know what I'm saying? But I'm just looking at the disparity between what we saw as what men were supposed to be and look like, and how it's changing. I still think it can be better because you still find people who, when a man is expressing how he feels, or even if he's talking like a lot, I don't even think, honestly, I don't even think women give men the room to really speak. We don't really like it. We don't really like what they have to say. Really and truly, we don't. But I'm just thinking about how even as women, we were conditioned to believe this is what a man should look like not talking too much, like not crying about things, like just get on with it. Where that was actually very unhealthy and very toxic.
Yeah,
So to just jump
essentially.
in,
Go
I
on.
I did I did a post the other day,
Oh, I saw that.
kind of addressing this, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's I find it like interesting where especially like women in relationships or women who want relationships, they would like men to do a lot of things, but when it comes to and even in the area of emotional intelligence, they would like a man to kind of exemplify that. But when it's kind of flipped on its head to give space for the man to speak or express himself, it's not the same. And I think that the reality is women would like a man that can express his emotions. But I think when it comes down to it, when that actually happens, it's a
Yeah.
big shocker. Because just like you were describing, you know, a lot of women do actually think that if a man is expressing his emotions, it's kind of a feminine thing, or it's attributed to them more, and it's a thing of that's that's what society has provided. Where when men don't speak, then a narrative is framed. The men do start to speak, and it's like, oh yeah, so it's strange because a man isn't meant to speak, or he's not meant to speak about his emotions, or he's not meant to be emotional, whatever that might mean. the stereotypes that are kind of attached to it. So I feel like that's an area that really ought to be addressed, especially from a woman's perspective, in that you're going to need to give space for him to express, especially in your relationship, especially by the time you get to marriage, because you then become his safe space. You know, outside, obviously, as believers, you know, outside of God, you then, you know, your spouse then becomes that space, safe space for you. And he has to be able to trust that what he shares with you, you will hold it, you will assess things carefully and look at how you will support, or you will know what to do the best way possible
Right.
with what he shared with you. Because when a man feels betrayed, he will not open his mouth up again. He will not share with you again, whether you're his wife or not. That's what men tend to do. Is like, okay, you know, if I am going to share, I'm going to share with someone I trust, even with, you know, their male friends. When there's a breach of trust, yeah, it may take kingdom come. You know, that's where we're talking about.
Oh
You know,
my gosh.
if you find it hard to open up to people, it'd be very hard for God to open you up. And I
Yeah.
agree with that statement as well. So if in a relationship, if you break that trust, you want him to speak, and then you break that trust or you weaponize it against him. He shared something with you, and you've now weaponized it against him. You know, and you're having disagreements, and you're always bringing up what he said to you before, and he said it as a means of sharing. Okay, maybe this is a weakness of mine that I want to work on, or I'm building on. And you're now going, yeah, but the last time you told me X, Y, and Z, and you see, that's your issue, that's your problem. It's like, yeah,
Hey.
that's not, you know what I mean? Because the same way you wouldn't expect, you know, when and women look, grace of God, it will be 9 years this year that I'll be married to my wife. Like, my wife wouldn't want
Yeah.
something that she shares with me for me to then turn around and go, oh, but you told me this, and you see, that's your issue. She would not want to tell me anything, and she wouldn't want to trust me with those things. She would rather go to someone else. So it's the same, you know, with men. Men should be afforded that space,
Right.
that safe space, so that what we're calling emotional intelligence is healthy. It's not just one-sided. It's not just me having to listen and, you know, say the right thing for you. You're also doing the same for me, and it allows me to feel seen. I feel like a lot of men don't feel seen. I think feeling seen is more attributed to women. You know, the model wife, you know, she's beautiful. Everyone's, you know, but it's like men. I may not want to be like paraded and, you know, whatever, but, you know, a man does want to feel esteemed. He does want to feel respected, and part of that comes in to play when effective communication happens, and you listen, you take on board, and then you do the necessary follow-on actions. You do what you need to do. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in.
Oh, let's go right into that part as well. So how do and let's do it from the women now. So how do women support the men in their lives to actually go through the process of healing?
Mm. Hey.
I mean, let's just go straight for it. How?
Ha. That's a heavy one. Am I
And
supposed
I
to?
hope the women are listening.
Do you know what? Yeah, like, I'll be honest. Like, I think when I've been in positions, and this is just me being really honest, when I've been in positions where a man has been provided the space to like open up about maybe some of his fears, his vulnerabilities. I mean, I've like wanted him to, but at a point that he actually does, I'm just like,
Taken aback.
whoa, I don't even know what to do. Yeah, like, I'll be real. Honestly, I'll be lying if I sat here and be like, oh yeah, this is what. A lot of times I'm actually taken aback. I'm like, yo, like, I,
Don't know what to do with it.
I don't even know what to do with it. Like, you know, I mean, obviously in the moment, you know, internally, I'm like, God, give me wisdom on how to help him navigate the situation. You know, sometimes I'm just there and I just listen. and I call, like, baby, it's okay, it's fine. I try, like, I just try and provide like the comforting, encouraging words, but low key, deep down, my heart is racing. I'm like, I don't even know how to help this man, like, deal with this trauma. Like, I mean, I know how to pray, you know? I mean, I mean, I know how to pray, and I'll be here, like, to hear you talk and to hear you speak. And, you can cry, and I'm not going to make you feel, embarrassed about crying. I will definitely be here to assure you that everything is going to be okay. But honestly, in terms of actually how to help him navigate those traumas, a lot of times, I'll be real, I'm just like, I don't even know. Maybe I need to call his brother, one of his brothers, or, like, I'm like,
That's all right.
yeah, I'm like, maybe I need to get in touch with, like, one of his brothers, or, like, I don't know, like a male figure who I know he respects, that kind of thing. That's usually what's coming to my mind. And I think sometimes as women, we can make the mistakes when we feel like because at the end of the day, like, the truth is that I think that there are certain things that women can't help men with. Like, and I think we have to acknowledge that. I think sometimes we do too much as women. Like, we think we have the answers to everything. Like, I think we have to acknowledge that there's certain things that we can't help men navigate
You know,
as women.
support.
Yeah, we can support. And I think that we can be there. Like, we can, ride with them, and we can do everything that's necessary. But a lot of times I honestly don't think that we're even equipped, and I think that we can do more to be intentional about learning how to help a man navigate healing and how to help a man navigate their traumas. Yeah, I don't think we're honest about the fact that we actually don't know. And in the process of not knowing, we think we know, but we damage the man even more.
Mm,
Um,
we make it worse.
we make it worse. We make it worse. But yeah.
Over to you, man, because we don't have the
Yeah.
answer.
That was a very difficult question. I mean, if you're asking a woman, how do you help men to, if a guy is going to be vulnerable, how do you facilitate that? Truthfully speaking, one of the biggest things that you can do is on your knees, prayer. Because truthfully speaking, men grow in environments with other men, godly men, competent men, vulnerable men. We all know, obviously, Psalm 1:1, blessed are those that do not, go into the counsel of the ungodly or stand in the way of sinners. So there is a blessing that comes from not associating with bad men. So a lot of men get that first part right. But the second part is now you're spending time with men that can sharpen you. The Bible says, as iron sharpens iron, another man sharpens another. The Bible also says that if you, paraphrasing, if you hang around, if you walk with the wise in Proverbs, you will also be wise. So I think men grow in environments with other strong men. You need fathers, you need people that can exemplify godly masculinity, people that can show you how to walk in your gifting, people that can also be vulnerable as well. So I think it's a very big burden for a woman to want to step in those shoes. And I know this thing happens every Father's Day. You always get these people that say, Happy Father's Day to all the single women.
Oh my gosh.
You're playing the role of father and mother. Now, on the surface, it seems like, okay, you seem like you're congratulating the mothers who are doing an excellent job the best way that they can because they don't have a man to support. But at the same time, you're negating the importance of men. They can't be replaced. There's a particular role that a man plays in another man's life that a woman cannot replace.
Absolutely.
So if you're a woman, number one, yes, prayer and doing all the other Christian things, create an environment, a safe place, pray for them, encourage them, whatever you can. But primarily, you really want to be praying in the direction of them finding godly examples, men who can hold them accountable, men who are godly, men who are competent, men who are vulnerable. And that's the type of environment that men thrive in.
That's good. That's good.
No, that's really good. And not to try and add much to that. I think also, you know, on a base level, that space emotionally, to allow them to speak first. Because when a man knows that, okay, I can go to my wife to speak to her and she will let me speak and she will listen, that a
Right.
lot of men
Right.
don't feel
Yeah.
like they have that,
Yeah.
or a lot of men don't have that.
Right.
So when a man does have that, that's a very big thing. It's
Mm.
you struck money there, because from there, one of the ways that healing or understanding can come is that when you're actually saying these things, you actually begin to recognize, oh, that's where this comes from, or oh, I'm beginning to recognize this is where this thing is stemming from, or this is where this thing is
Mm.
manifesting from. And then from there, one can begin to think about, okay, what the next steps would be.
Mm.
That's finding fatherly figures, that's finding brotherhood, godly brotherhood, or that's finding maybe I need counseling. I genuinely need counseling. So I'm beginning to see that. And it kind of goes back to my point of self-awareness. I think self-awareness requires vulnerability, it requires nakedness. And unfortunately, if you don't provide, it's kind of like in the beginning where even though it was after they were disobedient to the Lord, but Adam and Eve both recognized that they were naked. But prior to that, they didn't, but they were both naked anyway.
Mm.
And it's that we're both naked, but I'm not picking at you. I'm not looking at your body going, oh, there's this blemish there. And there's no. It's I don't see that. We're in this together. Adam
Mm.
recognizes Eve as this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. That's how I see it. And that in a relationship, when it's like we're in this together, we're two people that by the grace of God we're
Yeah.
trusting that
Yeah.
He would perfect our imperfections. But
Mm.
we're in covenant and we're walking together. When that mentality is the foundation of your relationship,
Yeah.
then it would be hard to disconnect, because we're doing it together. And I would also say, as I would say for women, that try not to solutionize first.
Yeah.
If a man tells you something, don't let your first point of call be, okay, so I know what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. That's what we. It's like I understand. I understand that there's a grace that women have to kind of. Men have it as well to solutionize,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
grace that women have. But I think they're more like intricate with it. It's like, okay, you need to do some counseling. And after your counseling, you do this, and after you do that, and it's like they have a full
So step.
18-month plan, like as to what's going to happen next. Whereas men, we're obviously pragmatic. Men like to solutionize as well, but we're very pragmatic. I think sometimes we're like, it's this, right, I need to find myself in brotherhood. We won't think about what exactly in brotherhood is needed, but we just think
Yeah.
it's just brotherhood. We'll find something there. Or I'll find, a role model and it's there. But yeah, I think, the bottom line is it's not to solutionize first.
Right.
Things need to breathe, and so that understanding can come. Even if you
Right.
want to help, as where I said, take it to prayer.
Mm.
And the Lord give you wisdom if and then maybe, make some suggestion. Oh babe, I was just thinking about what you said the other day. Just, I don't know if you were considering this. Have a think about it. As opposed to, oh babe, I think you need to do this. I think you need to do it. I think it's that puts unnecessary pressure. And sometimes what you're saying may not be the answer, even though it's the intention might be good.
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, like an example I was thinking about was Simon Peter and Jesus, and Jesus is communicating that, look, I'm going to go on the cross, I'm going to die, and I'm going to rise after 3 days. And Simon Peter was like, no, God forbid, you can't, we won't allow you, but no. And Jesus is like, no, Satan, get me behind me. Because in Simon Peter's mind, he's probably thinking, no, you don't. No. We love you. You're too good for this. But it's like, no, that there's a plan that has already been preordained. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes, even though we have good intentions, we can get in the way, even with our best intentions. Even as men, sometimes with our pragmatic thinking, sometimes can get in the way, and we have to learn to get out of the way and allow God's bigger picture to kind of permeate through it. And I'd also, just finally say that, the when it comes to listening, Like, let that be a thing. Just the same way, you know, after work and you're explaining how someone annoyed you at work and you're upset and everything. Listen. You really have to listen, because listening will then help you know, okay, I understand. If you don't listen well, you won't understand.
Mm.
And I know a lot of the times women say, oh, men only listen to respond, they don't listen to understand. But I've seen in a lot of instances, women also don't listen to understand. They can do, and maybe I guess because of we see generally more in terms of emotional stability or emotional IQ. We see women statistically tend to do better in that area. However, I think in the day and age that we're living in, with the rise of rhetorics that are not just harmful towards women, but also harmful towards men, I think it's hard for women to want to listen to men, because there's the assumption that, oh, is he trying to control me? Is he trying to do this? Is he trying to... So we've already framed narrative. So what we're listening, how we're listening is framed by the filter of previous experiences, this, that, and the third. So yeah, just a few. But yeah, just also, whilst we're here, just want to big up, you know, one of my brothers, Ayokono Oduni, runs a men's community called 412 Men. I don't know if he's still here, but yeah,
Yes.
by God's grace, I've been able to support the great work he does. And
It's
he
amazing.
creates space for men to be men and to be vulnerable as well. So yeah, just wanted to big him
Yeah.
up there.
Very, very big, very, very good space to be in, to be fair, if you're a man.
Yeah,
I
if
was
you're a
able to
man,
join one of the events,
also
and
of
yeah,
men is where you need to be. Okay,
please.
please just go.
As you need to find yourself around other godly, strong men, please find yourself there. I mean, a lot has been said, and I think one of the key things here is women, when you create a space for a man to speak,
Well,
be quiet and listen.
Yeah.
Be quiet and listen. I think that's literally, the starting point. You can take your cues as you start from there, but in the first instance, be quiet and listen and truly listen. But I've got a question here.
Can I add
Um,
something to your question
okay.
as well? I think it's important to note this as well, that if you're a woman, it might also be helpful if you can actually get the correct revelation of what a man should be. Because if you've had bad experiences from a father, or if your idea of what a man or a husband should be, it can actually affect how you relate to your husband or the men around you. Because the first teacher is example. And if the first example of what a man should be was a faulty father, absent father, it really distorts how you relate to men, which is why discipleship is important. Because, the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go, so that when they're older, they do not depart from it. The thing is if you have been trained up in an incorrect understanding of what a man should be like, you might have a distorted view. Your idea of a man is someone who's emotionally numb, who is absent, who doesn't talk a lot. Basically, a lot of the time we have glorified trauma as an example of masculinity.
Right.
I'll give you an example. There's a lot of men in the 40s, 50s, 60s who fought in World War II, World War I, World War II, and they actually suffered PTSD. And a lot of people didn't ascribe that to masculinity. Strong men, they don't talk, they just go about business, hard men. And then when you actually speak to these people when they're 80 and 90, you start to realize that a lot of them are actually suffering from PTSD. They have trauma that is unresolved. So I think it's important for women to upgrade, work with God to get a correct understanding of what a man should be like, so that you know how to relate to your husband, you know how to relate to your sons, you know how to relate to your male friends. Because when they come to you with issues, you have a template to compare them to. You can say, they're a bit off. They're not in alignment. There's a silhouette of what a man should be like. that they need to conform to. But if your idea is distorted, it can really affect how you relate. You might want to force your husband to be someone who is not meant to be,
Who's not,
because your idea might be wrong. So that might make relationships with men a lot easier once you have the correct understanding and revelation.
That's
I mean, I'm
honestly,
taking notes.
that's really, yeah. That honestly, yeah, that was really good. That, especially that last bit of trying to shape your husband into your
An
view of
idea.
a model man, but your model man is
It's
flawed.
flawed. Hey.
Your model man is flawed. And honestly,
Hey.
one thing I've seen, especially pastoring people, you find that their view of a man is already warped or skewed because of their personal experience with their father. And so now what they try and do is, everything my father wasn't to me, I'm going to try and make the
My
perfect
husband.
man out of.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that if you have not experienced the right man for you, what you're framing
Is
is an idea, and it's warped. So you might try and take I know what I missed out on. It's just like parents.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, okay, I missed out on, this from my mum or dad. So now that I have kids, everything that my parents weren't to me, I'm going to do that to my kids. The problem is, your parents don't need a refined version of your parents. They need the right version of parents for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And so a lot
Yeah.
of us are like, I don't want to be like my dad. So you will try and not be your
You
dad
be that,
to
yeah,
your child. But it's like,
yeah.
but your dad isn't the father to your child.
Child, yeah.
Your child needs their parent. Do you know what I mean? So it's
yeah.
the same. Like your husband is not meant to be your dad, a refined version of your dad. Your dad should have been a good model. He wasn't, but God has designed a man for you. And so that's the man that he needs to be conformed. The man that you have now, he needs to be conformed to the image of the man that God designed for you, and not a refined idea of your dad, if that makes sense. So that's a very big point you made, and I feel like a lot of people miss that, because when we focus on our ideals, I think sometimes we try and shoehorn our preferences into God's plan for our life.
And our preferences came from traumatic
That was
experiences. Crazy. And honestly, like, I think that is such a poignant point, because I think in our generation now, at least half of us need to redefine what a man is,
probably more.
according to the right standards. I mean, probably more, but I'm trying to be generous. Into what a man's supposed to be. And I think when I was thinking about this, one of the things that came to me was, they say men are from Mars, women are from Venus, whatever that thing that is. But it's like, why are we trying to understand a man without going to the person who created the man in the first place? Like, why are we trying to create our own thing when actually you are not the creator or the distributor? Like, you can't fix it. If something's gone wrong, you can't fix it. You need to go back to the source to fix it. I mean, okay, let me do this question because it's linked to what you just said. So it seems like men like to do things themselves or figure out stuff themselves, generally, is the story. How do you then convince a man, or at least, I'm not sure if convince is the right word, but how would you convince him to surround himself with more godly men or men that he could learn from or anything like that? Like, how?
If that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I think I personally would like the answer to that. Yeah, that's a good question.
How? Please help us.
I think the truth is, it's a load. Okay, you can go.
No, go through.
I was going to say it's a very loaded question. So I'll probably, let's take it from the perspective of relationships. If you're a woman in a relationship with a man, I think these are the preliminary questions you should be asking before you engage into the relationship. Who are their male friends? What is the quality of their friendships. Because with guys, I think Pastor Emmanuel, you can relate to this. Guys have a thing called when you're meeting up with a guy, there's always something called the third thing. The third thing. I'll explain it, the concept of the third thing. When two men are meeting, they're never meeting to just talk. There's always a third thing. Football. We're doing ministry. We're going to help. We're going to sell this car. We're going to do. I've noticed that with women, they can actually go to a cafe and just talk. There's no third thing. There's no we're watching football. There is no we're doing something extra. We are just coming to talk and catching up on the last couple of weeks, last couple of months. Guys don't necessarily have that by default. We meet, you can have people who've known each other for 10 years, but if you look at the quality of their friendship, it's based on an activity. But when it comes to actually opening up and being vulnerable, they will never know that, the other person has been contemplating suicide, or they're still struggling financially and they're embarrassed because of benefits. There's so many things, so you can be surrounded with people. So I would say in the context of a relationship, investigate what's the quality of their male friendships. Are they just people that they just kill time together? Or is there a level of vulnerability? Do they hold them accountable? Can they share things? Because one example I think is portrayed in the Bible is David. David was able to portray an immense level of vulnerability. You could almost, some people that actually say this is almost borderline feminine because the way he's just able to convey his emotions, but at the same time, he's a man of war.
Yeah.
He's a person that you do not want to mess with him. He's a king. He has an army. He's well respected, and you have this duality in that one person. He's able to be vulnerable. Even his relationship with Jonathan, he says, he's able to have this relationship of vulnerability with another man, but at the same time, he's respected as a man of war, someone that you do not want to cross the wrong way. So I think going back to the original question, how do you encourage? I think in the context of a relationship, make sure that you qualify your partner based on their male. Let it be one of the questions you ask them, because you don't want to marry someone hoping that you can put them in an environment of other men. You want to qualify and say, what's actually going on here? Do you have male friendships? Do you have people that you can be vulnerable with? And because you never want to marry someone or engage in a relationship with someone hoping that you can change them. Because we're all adults. No one is 18. No one is 19. If you're later down, your 20s, you're in the 30s, when you're considering a person that you want to marry, make sure you're asking these questions.
Very good points. I think it's good to start pre-relationship because, as you said, by the time you get into a relationship or you get married to someone who doesn't value brotherhood or doesn't value friendships or doesn't have the right people around you, it's an uphill battle from there, because then you're going to want to, as best as possible, try to change that person, and it's not your responsibility to change anybody. That's a very hard truth. I remember doing premarital counseling with my wife, and I remember there used to be times where we just used to disagree on silly things, and our pastors at the time would be like, it's not your responsibility to change your wife's mind or to change her as an individual. And I was like, no, but if she's doing something wrong, it's not your responsibility. It's God. And I think sometimes when we lose track of that, we then fall into the realm of trying to either become controlling or try to become coercive. And that happens both ways. Men do that, and I think we see that happens probably a lot more often. But then at the same time, women can also be coercive in nature or controlling to a degree over their partners. So I think if we start before asking, okay, cool, what's your friendship circle like? Who are the guys that you're around? Meeting, these guys, like getting to know them as well. And at the same time, when you're in a relationship, always encourage, like, oh, babe, make time to meet your friends. That's something that my wife always does. She's like, babe,
Mm.
make time for your friends. And as much as, you know, I don't live close to any of my closest friends, I make time for them, you know, even if it's not every month, because of life, work, ministry, all of that kind of stuff. I still make time for them. And even if we can't meet up physically, thank God for phones, thank God for FaceTime.
Yes.
We can always FaceTime. We can always catch up, and it's always it's a good thing to do. But I'm grateful because my wife recognizes that as a man, I need brotherhood, you know. And aside from that, not just brotherhood, I also, you know, keep in regular contact with father figures. So my greatest role model, my dad, you know, I speak to my dad twice, 3 times a week. I speak to some of my, you know, my mentors in the faith, you know, very often. I put time in the calendar to meet up with them. I'm a meet up physically sort of person. Obviously, the pandemic shifted that, but that's the sort of person I am. I like face to face, you know, masculine energy to masculine energy sort of thing. I love that. And so I think it's something that you have to encourage them. You can't push them to do it because they're not children, but encourage and remind them of the value of that. Oh,
Yeah.
babe, you know, when you met up with so and so, I just saw how like you were happy, you were so
Yeah.
energetic.
Yeah.
Like reminding them of the positives of that. Because for me, like for example, when I go to 412 men sessions, my wife, even though I get back very late, the next morning, my wife will always say, babe, I know it was a good time with the fellas because this morning you're just upbeat, and I'm like, yes, because for me, like being around brothers, whether it's just having good conversation or whether it's I'm receiving encouragement for someone or I'm encouraging someone, for me, that means so much because we're changing the narrative,
Yeah.
you know, and I feel like if other men just saw at least one benefit from being around brothers, they wouldn't feel like it's a laborious
Yeah.
thing. They wouldn't feel like it's very tasking.
Yeah.
So I feel for women, obviously in this case, to help men, encouragement is key. Easier thing to say is obviously prayer, but encouragement. And also, I think when you're in a relationship, I think foster like meaningful relationship with other couples, especially ones that you know that, okay, I know my man will get on well with the other guy, you know, sort of thing, because then you're kind of killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
There's the men's relationship and the women's relationship, but then couple to couple, it's like like-minded couple, another like-minded couple, and then it kind of makes it more easier. So it's just like, we're meeting up with these guys this week. Fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We get to, it moves from the group chat, you know, into, you know, real life things, and the men can, you know, they'll have their own space to chop it up. The women will do their thing, but together, yeah. So look for avenues where you can do things like that, or, you know, if not, just man to, babe, I know you haven't met up with so and so. Why don't you do that? Why don't you, you know, guys, go and do just that little push. If you want me to organize it for you, I can help you do that, because I know women at times they'll say that maybe our organization skills are not too great. That's fine. So I know, listen, my wife has a grace for admin and operations, so sometimes I just leave that to my wife and she will do it. So I just look in the family calendar, she's got all those things there, so I know that I'm meeting up even this week coming.
Amazing wives.
I
Yeah,
know,
literally. I'm telling you, amazing. God bless you, women. Like this week, I've taken a few days off work, and one of the reasons why is just I feel like, aside from having a lot of like annual leave left, I just feel like I need to reclaim like time for myself.
Yeah.
And you know, like the girls being picked up from school this week, my wife can do that. You know, I'm setting aside intentional time, so I've put in the calendar like I'm meeting up with, you know, a few friends, you know, between Thursday and Friday, and I'm already excited because I'm like, yes, I'm doing something that means something to me. And once again, my wife, you know, not only does she put the time together, but she's also kind of been like, oh, babe, have you thought about this place? I know you like coffee. I know you like pastries. I know you like this. Why not try this? So you're just making it easier for me and you're helping. So yeah, those are just some suggestions then. Yeah.
No, that's great. And I think I've probably got time for one more question. And this one I mean, everybody can answer this one. So literally, we know that typically men are less expressive with the emotions and their vulnerability. We know that they sort of usually don't engage as much in things like communities, even therapy, um, and just, I guess, sharing, just speaking up in general about what they're going through, how they feel, and all that kind of stuff. We see examples in the Bible. We see Job at his most lowest time in life
Yeah.
have people around him who he could speak with. Speak with enough to borderline upset God. Not justifying the upsetness, but we just focus on the fact that he had people around him that he could open up to, and they could also say their bit to him. So are how do primarily men themselves get to a place where they are emotionally resilient, they are vulnerable when they need to be, they are expressive, um, in order to sort of heal? Because I believe that all of that is part of the healing journey from the conversation we've had so far. And you might need to, dig into your personal journeys to sort of shed some light on this. But how? How do they do that? Sorry, long statement to end up with a question.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I can answer this one. I mean, I think I've witnessed like, brothers go through healing journeys. And I've witnessed brothers being able to come and have certain, vulnerable conversations with myself. But yeah, I think I maybe speak about it from I may be able to speak about it from the perspective of from that level, basically, like having watched another brother go through something that was quite traumatic. Yeah, and he's really being intentional about his healing. But it's rare though. I'll be real.
Okay.
It's very rare.
We like to see more of that. So I guess
Yeah,
you can come in, I guess, when the guys have gone, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
qualify that.
Mm.
Who's going to start off?
I would say, you know what? I'll start from a comment you made at the beginning when you were trying to frame the question about men and expressing emotion. I think that over the years, I think I've changed, my perspective has changed on that. Men don't really express their emotions. I think men do. I think but the emotions that they express are reduced to not
Negative one?
much. I think because and I'll explain. I think it's because when we look at emotions and the range or the depth of emotions, maybe they're not as common. However, men do express
Right,
emotions,
right.
but the range or the toolbox is not that broad, right? So, for example, when you see anger and you see things like rage, those are emotions, and guess what? They're commonly associated with men.
Women.
So is it that men that don't? Is it that men don't express? No, they do, but those are just some, and obviously the connotations are very negative. I
Yeah,
understand,
yeah,
but that's still expressing. I think what men need to be brought into is and it's not directed at you personally, but I'm just saying, especially working with men and having, doing this work and, being able to, by God's grace, like do a lot of, you know, speaking engagements at men's events, workshops, and all of that. I realized that speaking to men, one of their frustrations is the feeling of like when society tries to downplay the fact that, or when society says, "Oh, men don't show emotion," like, yeah, we do.
yeah.
It's just how we express it might be stifled, but we do in
Different.
some way, shape, or form. Like you go to a football stadium, yeah, the football match is happening today. There's a wealth of emotions. People are crying, people are shouting, people are excited. You see it, so it's not that men don't; they do, but they're just kind of the way people view. I feel like when women express themselves, it's understood. That's expressing your emotions. But when a man does it, it's kind of like, well, he's only angry. It's just like, calm down. But yeah, so yeah, I wanted to start by saying that. I want to say that I think that one narrative in scripture that really, or two, that really speak to me are the narrative of Cain and Abel. We see that after Cain's sacrifice wasn't accepted, something interesting happens. God comes to Abel and says, "Why are you angry?" So God recognizes that there's an emotion there, and God wants to probe into it. What we see today with men is we might share some emotions, but we don't probe into it. Bro, what's going on? Bro, like I've realized, like, we've just been off for a few weeks. Like when we've met up and we were talking, but it feels like you're distant. What's going on? What a lot of men will do is, "Hey bro, how you doing?" "Yeah, I'm all right, man. Yeah, I'm good. I'm cool." Yeah, it's just mumble, and it's like what bro was talking about. It's, you know, if we've gone out, we're just watching, you know, a match, or there's something else there, or in the Christian context, it's a bit cringe sometimes, but, you know, for those in ministry, we end up swerving to ministry, you know, what's the Bible is breaking out, yes, you know, God is doing great big things in our ministry. It's like, honestly, you know, as a church leader, I would say it, you know, not many might say it, but I find it cringe at times, because I feel like, especially when you have friendships with these people, I know people have ministry relationships, but when you have friendships with people who are ministers, we don't have to play the charades. We don't have to play the game. We're relating on a personal level, right? So because we have to keep an appearance, we miss out on what's there. And there's a stat that says, I think less than 20% of men, and this is a stat that comes from America, but you know, as they say, if America sneezes, UK coughs, or US coughs, America sneezes, or something like that. There's less than 20% of men in America have meaningful relationships. I think it's like either 13 or 17%, something like that. That is a very, very deep stat.
Yeah.
That the majority of men in that country do not have a depth in relationship. And whereas for women, they develop a lot deeper relationships. So for men, we have to kind of, to answer the question now, so I don't take much time, we have to start developing depth of relationship. Not just, bro, how you doing? Yeah, you good? And yeah, God bless you. But bro, I've just noticed, like, yeah, you're a bit reserved. Like, is everything good? And I know what you're like on a normal day, but you're just, yeah, you know, I'm okay, but I'm a bit stressed out at work. Okay, what's happening at work? Like, actually showing a genuine level of interest and a genuine level of care, and not just for the things that bring you success, but also the things that can, like, hurt you deeply. So for me, people that know me know I'm very big on family. I'm very big on friendships. So if you see me down, it might have to do with something like that. But if you don't know me, you wouldn't know. You know?
Yeah.
So, bro, is everything okay at home? Is everything okay with the family? Is everything okay friendship wise? And I alluded to it at the beginning. Like, for me, the last couple of years, what I've had to really deal with and press through and find healing with is the area of friendships. I've lost, you know, some poor friendships that I thought, you know, these are the people that I feel like I'm going to be running with for the rest of my life. And yeah, there's been a few cases where there's been just unfortunate breakups, and I've had to press through that. Thankfully, my core group of friends have been able to walk with me on that journey.
Right.
I've been able to be vulnerable and share my feelings, my thoughts, my emotions with them, and they've been able to journey with me where they feel. And this is not to say that, you know, everything I've said to them, they've agreed with my approach. No, but there's space for that in the depth of relationship that we have. Bro, you know what? Maybe what you did there wasn't the best. And I'll be like, okay, you know what? Because I love you and I know you care for me or care about me, I'm going to hear what you have to say. So it's developing that depth that we're walking on a journey together. And a lot of men, we might be walking side by side, but we're not journeying intentionally together. So it's like, yeah, you're my boy. We've been boys for 15 years, 20 years. I know about you, but I don't know you. Does that make sense? For example, the second example I was going to give was Jesus, right? Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. It said that Jesus took the 12, then he told the majority, the 9, to stop. Then he said he took Peter, James, and John a little further, and says, and then the Bible says something interesting. It says that Jesus grieved and wept in front of them. Then he went a bit further to go and pray. So with the 12, imagine out of the 12, there's 3 that he wept and was so vulnerable in front of,
Right.
not because he wanted to do a power play or power dynamic, but what I believe is that he's journeyed with those 3, Peter, James, and John, with such a level of depth
Yeah,
that they can
relationship.
handle. There's certain things that you guys can handle. That's why
Yeah.
he was like, wait here and pray with me. So the rest of them, it's not that they weren't there to pray, but you guys, you should know better. So
Should know
Peter,
better.
that's why when the soldiers came and Peter, chops off one of the soldiers' ears, Jesus is like, my guy, what are you doing? You know that you're not meant to do that. I expect differently of you, Peter, compared to the rest of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So same way with our friendships, like we can have loads of people we know, but people that we have depth of relationship with, there's a vulnerability, there's a nakedness that I'm showing to you guys because of my trust for you and the trust that has been built. I know I can share these things. I have brothers that there's a certain level of information I can share with you, and I have the trust that you guys won't violate that level of trust. By the grace of God, they haven't. But what they also, it's also with what they do with that information. So at the beginning of this year, I had a big loss, and my core friends, they have been there with me ever since, checking up, coming to visit, all of that kind of stuff. That's what it means. That there's a price that they have. Everyone knows. But if it was for them, I would do exactly the same thing. That's because we know, because of the depth of our relationship, we know what we ought to do. And I feel like, to end what I'm saying, it's as a man to deal with the deep traumatic experiences or the hard experiences of life. The Bible talks about, that there are friendships, there are brothers that are formed and forged in the days of adversity, right? So it's in my downtimes, it's in my hardest moments that I know who you are and you know who I am. Does that make sense? So now we have to, and I guess that's how, even in life, that's how you figure out, these are the people that, okay, I know that if times are really rough, I know who I'm going to. I'm not going to every Tom, whatever. I'm going to these people because I know that not only do we have the depth, but they have the capacity to handle what I'm sharing with them. It may not mean that they have the answers, but at least they have the capacity. Because just like Peter, James, and John, Jesus said, pray. They didn't pray, but still he wept in front of them because he knew that, okay, cool. I don't know, I'm only inferring on the text here, but maybe if he had done it with the 9, they probably would have just gone, even though they still went helter skelter. But if I shared it, I don't know what would have happened. But with these 3, at least I can cry and grieve. They saw him whip to a point where the sweat was likened to blood, like that intense. David, what he shared with Jonathan was intense. There was an intensity, there was a level of depth to a point where it was covenant. So it's not just, I'm your boy, you're my boy. No, it was covenant. If anything bad happens to me, bad will also happen to you. If anything good happens to me, good will happen to you. If something happens to your kids, I have to help you sort it out. If something happens to my kids, that's why we see later down the line when Mephibosheth got hurt, David had to go and find, I have to go and find Mephibosheth because I'm in covenant with his family. You know what I mean? Even if it's an inconvenience to me, that's the price that I have to pay. And that's what friendship looks like or should look like. It's a price to pay. If we want to go deep, if we want to be intentional, it comes at a cost. I don't live in London, but if one of my brothers lives in London and he's going through a hard time or whatever, I have to pay the price. I will find my way there to stand with him, but vice versa. But I know that at the end of it, what we've got is going to change the narrative because there will be young men or men of whatever age, they will look and go, right, so men can have this depth of relationship. Okay, maybe that's what I should be pursuing as well. So sorry for the sermon, but that's what I'm sure.
That's good.
No,
Good.
that's really good.
That's good. Yeah.
Really good.
Go on, Chris.
Yeah. So the original question you asked, just repeat it again. I just want to make sure that I nail it from my perspective. You're asking about trauma in terms of what I've been through, how I overcame it.
Yeah, and how I guess vulnerability and expression was part of that. You can touch on forgiveness too.
Yeah. So I'll start okay, if you're a man, right? I mentioned this at the very beginning, that you need to be able to interrogate your fears and your desires. Fears, what is it that you struggle to trust God with? Because that can be a window into some trauma that you might need to investigate. Also, obsessions and desires. There's so many things. We can see a man that is ambitious. This guy's ambitious, is a go-getter. But if you actually look at what's driving that desire, that obsession, there might be fear. I'll give it an example from my personal life. When I was around the age of 15, maybe 14, 15, I was able to get one of the highest marks in Sheffield for a particular science exam. So that was the outcome, that was the result. How I got to that result is that for 3 months, I convinced myself that I am completely useless. I need to pass. I was literally brainwashing myself to the point where, like, I am literally nothing. I am a nobody. I am useless. I need to be able to pass this exam. And that drove me to study hours every single day. So the result was I was able to get, a top mark in that specific science exam. And for 15, 20 minutes, when they announced the results in my class, people clapped. And after that, but the thing is, we saw the result, we saw the outcome. But what drove me to that outcome was a lack of sense of self, a low self-esteem. So you see someone that is driven, but you should question what is driving that ambition, what is fueling that driven nature. So look into that. Another thing as well, I would say forgiveness. What do you struggle to forgive?
Right.
Is there anything, because forgiveness is a very big part in terms of healing and overcoming any type of trauma. The Bible says, because the thing is, if you think about trauma, there is always a perpetrator. The perpetrator is either a parent, the perpetrator can be yourself, the perpetrator can be, in your perspective, might be God. You might feel like where was God when this happened? Why wasn't God looking out for me? Where was my mom? How could they do that? How could this partner do this? There's always a perpetrator. So that's why forgiveness is very key when it comes to overcoming trauma. The Bible says that a brother offended is harder to win over than a strong city. Proverbs 18:19.
Yeah.
So if you think about a strong city, what does a strong city have? A strong city has walls. The purpose of walls is to keep things in it safe from not going out, good things or bad things. The walls also prevent outsiders, invaders from coming in. So walls can be good, but they can also be negative as well. And the Bible says that a brother offended is harder to win over than a strong city, because offense actually puts a barrier between you and people, but also you and God. Forgiveness is very key. I think forgiveness can actually halve hours in counseling sessions. Forgiveness can really open, because it's really hard for God to be able to work in you if you have that barrier of offense. So I'll say forgiveness is very, very important. So just to repeat myself, I touched on the fact that you need to be able to question and interrogate what is driving you, because if you look at what's really driving you, it might be fear, which can be linked to trauma. Forgiveness is very, very key. You need to ask yourself, what is it that you struggle to forgive? Is it a person that you avoid? Is it a parent? Is it a former partner? Is it yourself? Forgiveness is a very key part of healing. And I would actually say, even having spoken to many people that have had different things happening in their life, if they allowed themselves to go through a process of vulnerability in the presence of God, and allowed God to be able to work on their hearts, they would have been further ahead in terms of their healing journey than anything else, than counseling sessions, than, of course, God will use human beings. Absolutely. God is not going to come down physically. God always uses vessels. But I think there is a personal responsibility when it comes to engaging God in the area of forgiveness that can really unlock healing, especially when it comes to trauma that us as men have faced. And another personal experience as well, I think I mentioned this at the very beginning, that 9 years ago, I think, when I went through a breakup, I was engaged. Now, obviously, the breakup itself, yes, of course, it's a difficult thing, right? But I think for me, what it made me realize, it opened up a can of worms where God started to deal with different things. One of them being that I had no sense of self-esteem. My self-esteem was rooted in accomplishment. And me being in that relationship at 22, 23 years old, I wore it as a badge of honor. So can you imagine, it formed a part of who I was. So when that thing crumbled, I had to question myself, like, oh, this thing that was a badge of honor that I couldn't wait to tell people, oh, this is how we met, this is, I'm engaged, we're going to get married. It all of a sudden crumbles. It begins to make you question, like, oh, what foundation was I building my life upon? Accomplishment, how people perceive me. So I think it really, so the root wasn't necessarily the trigger was, yes, the trigger was the relationship breaking up, but it allowed God to begin to address things about me as a person, and particularly, accomplishments. And yeah, so vulnerability is very important, but the first person that you have to be honest and vulnerable to is God. And it takes the Holy Spirit, because it's so easy to come to the place of prayer and tell God what you want him to hear. But I think vulnerability, the first person you need to be vulnerable with is God, because he understands what you need to heal from. Another thing as well that I dealt with in that season was I realized this thing of just wanting to have accomplishment, of rooting or having the foundation of who I was based on accomplishments. It actually affected how I related to men and leaders. Because whenever I spoke to a man of God, Chris, let's have a one-on-one, I'm so geared towards telling me, God is telling me this, teaching me this, accomplish this. I'm unable to relate to other men because I lead with what I have accomplished. And it affected my ability for God to work through other people, because I was leading with, I accomplished this, I did this. Whereas if I was to be transparent and open, perhaps they would have been able to see what was happening in my life, for God to be able to use them to give me the advice that I needed. So vulnerability is very important. And also another thing as well that I learned that I think a lot of people can apply, men and women, is ask yourself, what is the thing that you're afraid to lose? For instance, if you're going to go into the place of prayer, every person has, God, even if this was to happen, I'll still serve you. What is that blank space? For some people, it's, even if my wife was to leave me, even if my husband was to leave, what is that thing that you struggle, that even if you were to repeat it, you can't? You're like, I'm not really sure about this one. Whatever that is, fill in the blank. God, even if X happens, I will still serve you. What is that X? Begin to investigate, interrogate. What is it? Because freedom really comes when you're able to surrender everything to God. There's only one thing that Jesus was afraid of losing: the Father forsaking him. If there is anything else that you're afraid of apart from God forsaking you, that can be a window into something that God might need to address, something that you need to surrender, something that might be rooted in some trauma that you've been through. So I think
Mm.
true freedom is living your life being in the same position as Jesus, where all you're afraid of is the Father forsaking you. If it's a husband, if it's a job, if it's money, if it's friendship, you should be able to say to God, God, even if I die broke, I will still serve you. God, even if I die single, God, even if my wife, if my husband they leave me, I will still, it will be painful, but I know I'll be okay. 4 or 5 years, I know the only thing I'm afraid to lose is you forsaking me. If you arrive at that position, you unlock a new level of freedom, a new level of healing and restoration, because those things that you are afraid of confessing to God, that God, even if X happens, those things are the things that you should address and deal with, because it will really begin the journey of your healing.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I have nothing to say. I mean, that's just such amazing wisdom from you guys. I mean, yeah. Time. Okay. Any final thoughts from you guys? Any final thoughts? Yeah.
I'll go first because I know I'll have to probably jump off. I know we're rounding off, but yeah, honestly, I think it's been so enlightening. Not more of a contribution, but I think I've kind of done a lot more listening, which I actually said to Dee before we came on the live. I said to her before, I said I feel like me being here is actually more to listen than anything. And I think it's just been so enlightening. Just hearing you guys speak about your personal experiences and just gaining an insight into from a man's perspective, how you think about, you know, trauma healing expression, what that looks like, and how different it is to us for women, but how we can actually play that position as women, whether it's in the capacity of, you know, brothers, because it's not just about within the context of relationship and marriages, but within the capacity of, you know, brothers,
Yeah.
but
Community,
biological brothers and spiritual
as well.
brothers, yeah, biological brothers, spiritual brothers, uncles, the men in our families, you know, and also, you know, husbands and fiancés and boyfriends and stuff like that, and just being able to hear. I mean, I've been convicted by some things. I won't expose myself and say what I've been convicted by. You know, we're not gonna do that, okay? But I will have you know, I am leaving here with some convictions.
Praise the Lord.
And some praise the Lord, and some changes are going to happen. But I think just hearing how, as a woman, what role I can play, and we might think it's a small role, but I think just contributing to changing the narrative in our generation, and playing that my small role in my own little community, to my brothers, to the men around me, and providing that support for men to be vulnerable and to have that space for them to speak, and not then when they do speak, not then be like, okay, yeah, no, this is too much. But yeah, so I guess my final thoughts is just to say thank you. This has been absolutely amazing. And thank you for being open, and honest and vulnerable as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, uh, who has final thoughts to share? Anyone?
Yes, first of all, just want to say thank you. Thank you for opening the space to discuss. I know it's very interesting because it's like, oh, it's it's a woman opening space you know, but I appreciate it, and I think that's part of what's going to happen. I think that, you know, a lot of the healing is going to happen when men do take ownership. But I think it's very important, and I was saying it the back end of last year at um, at an event, that women shouldn't feel like it's for men to solve. Um, from God's perspective, it's not good that man should be alone. So man can't do it by ourselves. Even though we have the greater responsibility in terms of driving the narrative of change for men, I think where women can come is they can
Yeah.
open spaces like this to listen to what men have to say, and I think that's a very beautiful thing. So once again, thank you for that. And then at the same time, you know, for any man that is listening, I think it's more an encouragement to please, as you journey with the Lord to reflect with Him and to assess your life, where you're at, your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, the bad experiences. And sometimes it's not even like, it's not always the obvious bad experiences. Sometimes it's something happened to you and it might be the most unsuspecting thing, but that triggered or tripped something in your wiring to make you behave in a particular way or respond to certain things in a particular way. So as you sit down with the Lord, as you journey with Him, those things will come to light. And the beauty of that is that as you walk with the Lord, He will help you, He will show you, He will teach you as to how to heal, as to how to deal with those things, and how to be an overcomer, how to be someone who walks in true freedom. So that would be my encouragement. And, you know, for the men that are in your life, do pray for them. Please do pray for them, because the work is much. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I think sometimes, like, we talk about it and we say statements like there's a lot of work to do, but as best as possible, let's try and, you know, be the change makers, by whether it's praying, whether it's by opening spaces like this more often, whether it's by, you know, praying for those who are going to be the narrative changers, those who have a voice that are going to speak to the societal ills and pressures that men face. So yeah, that's what I'd say. But yeah, once again, thank you. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I pray it won't end here. I pray that it will trigger things for other people to pick up as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Chris.
I'll say my final words. Yeah, thank you again for this platform. I think sometimes it's powerful, especially for you know a woman hosting a platform like this to allow men to speak. Because yeah, it's easy. A guy could have hosted this, and it would have been an echo chamber of just men speaking to men. But I think it's powerful when we get to collaborate. Men are hearing women's perspective, and vice versa. Because I think that's when the kingdom can move forward. So I think it's been very good. And even where healing is concerned, the world says that time heals everything, but it's the author of time that heals all things. Time can just bend things deeper and deeper and deeper, but it takes the author of time. God can heal all things. But yeah, healing is a process, it's a journey, and it's necessary. Big things, small things. But yeah, we'll all get there in Jesus' name.
Amen.
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 Thank you. Honestly, thank you all so much for coming on, for sharing, for speaking live, for teaching. I mean, so much has happened here. I feel like I need to go back and listen to this again to really really get it in, because there's been so many important things touched on today. And I hope everybody else does really listen and learn, because this is the beginning of a change that can affect our generation. This is the beginning of a change that can change the narrative. The things that we need to break free of those chains that have been associated with men. Because whatever your personal feelings may be, they were created by God. We need them. There's no other option, and we need them whole. Not just for their sake, but for our sake too. There's a quote I came across. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. We can't repair broken men. We don't have the power to. Only God can. What we can do is, as well as support the men, actually train up our children in the right way, with the right mindset, with the right narratives, so that moving forward, our generation is changed for the better. So, thank you all so much. Thank you so much. And I will be back here on the first Saturday of April again with something else. But yeah, thank you all so much, and have a lovely rest of your day. Amazing. Men, if you're here, follow the men, DM them, get into the communities. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been great.
you.
Thank you, Dee.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pastor
Thank
Emmanuel. Thanks,
you.
Chris.
Thank you, Apostle Emmanuel. Thank you, Minister Chris. Thank you, Pastor Tosin. See you later.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.